What up, y'all? Back here with the Stoner and Sludge portion of my CD collection here. I'm pretty hyped to get there because that means we're going to be out of Doom after this, and we're going to be getting into power metal after this. I've been on a Doomy kick because of making these videos, which has been really nice because I've been just gobbling it up, and it is great. So we are listening to this classic Death Doom record, Into Darkness by Winter in the background. This is a must-have in every respectable death metal collection as far as I'm concerned. Some of the greatest Celtic frosty death metal you've ever heard in your life. If you haven't heard this, you're missing out, dude. No beer. It's the morning. I had to leave work because I reached my hours for the week, so I'm back home soon, which is great. All right, so we're going to start off in E and then go through Y because I don't have a lot of this stuff. I really don't like much sludge metal at all, and stoner I'm pretty selective about. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is Earthless, and this is their album Black Heaven. So if you don't know Earthless, they're not on the Metal Archives, which a couple of these bands aren't on the Metal Archives, which I find mildly ridiculous. But this band is decently rock derivative, but it's some heavy, thick, and dense sludge metal guitar tones, stoner metal guitar tones, and they're really, really jammy. I don't know how improvised they actually are. I assume live they're very improvised, but on the records, I don't know how much they write beforehand. But it definitely sounds like they came up with some of this stuff on the fly, and I like that about it. It's heavy and it's catchy. It's really bluesy. It kind of sounds like if you gave Hendrix a couple of Sabbath records and then modern guitar tones and stuff like that. So if that kind of sounds really cool, really virtuosic style musicianship, it's a really, really good record. If you guys haven't listened to Earthless, I think you're really missing out. Because, sometimes it's nice to switch it up from everything that you hear every day. Earthless is banging, dude, for sure. All right. Classic band, Come My Fanatics by Electric Wizard. So this is actually a 2-disc set. I don't exactly... Oh, it's both the first and second record from Electric Wizard, being self-titled and Come My Fanatics. Really, really decent stuff. I have all the years that I've been a big fan of like stoner doom and things like that. I've never been a huge Electric Wizard guy, and I don't know what my problem really is. I need to put this on again. I think I really don't like the sludge metal vocal. That's something that I don't know, just like, go for the death growl or clean sing. I really don't like the drunken yell shout that a lot of these bands do. Kind of annoys me. Maybe it's the context, because I like when like Dark Throne does it, or bands that kind of sound like Dark Throne. The old guy at the end of the bar. I even like when Carpathian Forest kind of does it to an extent. But I don't know, man. I dig it, but I don't love it, if that makes any sense. But I will spend more time with Electric Wizard, and obviously this is some people's favorite band ever. So I definitely need to give them some more tries. Next, we're getting into a band I am incredibly fond of, which is, I guess, not really a metal band, but it's just as metal as something like, I don't know, maybe Rainbow. But this is Hasigian Blues by Graveyard. If you guys don't know this band, absolutely stellar bluesy stoner rock from Sweden, which is cool because you don't hear a lot of rock bands from Sweden. At least that I could think of. Obviously, it was like the Helicopters and stuff. I don't really like them. So this band, very retro rock, 70s style, hard rock, kind of the stuff that would have been the building blocks for metal bands, but really, really heavy and really moody. Like stuff like Ain't Fit to Live Here has got like the kind of stoner riffage to it quite a bit. But like songs like Hasigian Blues and Uncomfortably Numb are kind of moody. Hasigian Blues is pretty quick, but Uncomfortably Numb is great. Ungrateful Are the Dead is a great song as well, Longing. But my favorite song on here is The Siren. I think that's the first song I ever heard from this band. It's a really dynamic tune where it's kind of slow and low at the beginning, and then it kind of comes in really heavy with some really intense, you know, stoner metal stylings to it. It's really, really great. Check out his Siggy and Blues if you've not heard it. I have a couple from Graveyard, so this one's Lights Out. I don't have as high of an opinion of this one. I don't find it nearly as gripping as his Siggy and Blues. I don't know, there's like not really any songs that stand out to me super heavily. I really like that image. Whatever that's supposed to be. It's the CD thing, because this is like that hard cardstock vinyl style thing, which I don't really like when they're super firm like this. Even though they're a lot harder to break, they are really hard to get the CD in and out of. I don't know, man. But I'm not going to talk too much about this one or this next one, because this next one it kind of falls in the same camp, if not being even less exciting, which is... It's just a self-titled Graveyard. I do really like this album cover. Artwork's very cool to look at. Let me open it up for you. Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable looking. I don't really know what they were going for with it. I have an idea, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of looks like a bunch of vampires at a table with some creepiness all around it. Really great band photo. Yeah, you could like see these guys and you're like, okay, that looks like, you know, what I imagine like, you know, Hot Tuna looked like back in the day, or a band like that. And I really do like that about them. Songs like Evil Ways is pretty cool. But, you know, I really don't have a lot to say about this record. It's not that amazing, other than the artwork's pretty cool. Now this one, Innocence and Decadence, is my favorite Graveyard record. This is top shelf, dude. So good. Everything about this record is really good. You could stare at this album cover for hours. The band is on here somewhere, and it took me years to see that there was a Graveyard logo right there. I don't know how many of y'all have this record, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a must-have. So you got that great album cover, and then you have the close-up of where the band is in there. So, like, trying to play Where's Waldo on here is a mild pain in the nards. I feel like they're stashed away in there somewhere. I don't know. But this is great. It opens with Magnetic Shunk, which is kind of a great, heavy kind of... Okay. Kronos was trying to climb on the table you guys are on. But it's kind of a heavy hard rock, proto-metal style. The Apple in the Tree is really cool. Never There's to Sell was really good, but Too Much Is Not Enough is a really great record. From a Hole in the Wall is probably my least favorite song on here, but Stay for a Song is another one of my favorites on this record. I've actually played that with my folk band before, and it goes over well. It's actually a decently hard song to play. There's a lot of chord changes and somewhat odd timings to it, which is really fun to play. So if you guys like this band, check out this record. If you don't know this band, check out this record, Innocence and Decadence. Really cool. Listen to like the Siren live at Grass Pop in like 2012. You're gonna be sold, I promise. I got 3 from a somewhat similar band, being Cadaver. I have Rough Times, Berlin, and Self-Titled. I don't know these a ton. There's nothing too exciting inside of them, and I really don't feel like taking them all out to show you, because I won't have enough to talk about to fill in the time it would take. Great band photos. You can tell the budget went up. They're wearing nice clothes, and that's cool too. So this is like a stoner rock band, maybe a little more on the metal side than Graveyard, but style-wise, relatively similar. I haven't spent enough time with these to really give you guys a good rundown on these Cadaver CDs, because I recently got these, except for one of them, which is Berlin. I've had this for a while. I might have played it once. But yeah, Cadaver. Next, a band I'm not huge on, but a lot of people really like. This is Remission by Mastodon. If I'm gonna listen to Mastodon, I like the first 2 mostly. Other stuff does creep its way into, you know, passive listens, being I have friends that like Mastodon, and they'll put it on, and I'm fine with it, I guess I should say. But if I'm going to listen to it, Remission's a really great one. This is heavy. It's got that kind of drunken yell shout to it, which isn't my favorite thing in the world. But nonetheless, I think the music itself kind of speaks for itself. But my favorite one from them, I don't even own, which is kind of annoying. But this is the Hunter that I'm throwing all over the place. From 2011. I think that these are out of order. I couldn't tell you much about it, not gonna lie to you. Couldn't really name much of a song on here. Yeah, I don't know. Some people really like this album, not sure. I've spent a little bit more time with this one, which is Blood Mountain. This is preferable as far as later Mastodon goes for me. I wish I had Leviathan. I really do. I just I haven't gotten around to it. When I see it, I usually find it in a place where I find a lot of things. And it's one of the first things to get called out of the stack because I don't listen to this very often. But I always like the imagery in Mastodon. I don't know, it's kind of cool, kind of creepy, really weird looking. But this one's a pretty good record. They're still pretty sludgy at this point, but a lot of the harsh vocal has been toned down to be more tonal and sing-songy, which results in albums like this, which is Once More Around the Sun, which is actually a pretty good record. I don't mind this one whatsoever. It's not the most exciting thing. It's kind of like sludgy retro rock, somewhere in that general vicinity, maybe a little butt rock to an extent. But yeah, Mastodon. A couple from Red Fang. I have their debut album, which is Murder the Mountains, and the self-titled, which is the third one. Oh no, sorry, Only Ghosts, not self-titled, the third one still. Again, I just got these. Haven't spent a ton of time with these, but they're okay. Nothing really crazy. You guys saw me show these in a recent update. Some catchy songs on there, but nothing super amazing. Next is one of my favorite albums in the genre, which is Holy Mountain by Sleep. I absolutely adore this record. This is something I got into when I was pretty young, middle school, and stuff like The Druid is what got me into this band. I've always loved this album cover. I always thought it was really, really cool. I've always enjoyed this record. But yeah, the song, the Druid is great, and probably Holy Mountain is my second one. Juggernaut's cool as well. Obviously, it's kind of like the sleep hit, I would say. Really good, heavy riffage. I like the kind of weird double layer, uncomfortable sounding vocals. They're really psychedelic without employing too much psychedelia. Really good record. And Dope Smoker. Everybody has this record. Everybody knows this record, and I don't listen to it very much. I've seen them play this entire record before, and I've listened to it, more than enough times. But it's just not something I want to listen to very often. It's very repetitive. It borders on like ambient stoner. It's weird like that because it's really, really meditative and kind of maintains the same thing the entire song. It obviously has dynamics. It's an over an hour long song, but it feels the same the entire time. Space Slug with Lemonus. This is a Polish stoner band. Blind Buy from one of my local shops. Really cool album cover. I don't see a lot of Polish doom come through my area, so I figured I should grab it, especially for the price that I paid for it. It was like $4 at the most. And it's a really, really good record. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's a lot of fun to listen to. It's heavy, psychedelic, kind of heady, but I haven't spent a ton of time with it because this is really not my style to listen to these days. If I would have found this when I was 13, 14 years old, I probably would have went nuts for it. Now this, I've had this forever. Sun and Boris Alter. Boris is a Japanese experimental project ranging in every single genre humanly possible, and then Sun, obviously, like drone metal legends. So I've almost gotten rid of this several times, and for whatever reason, I keep it around. I never listen to it, but I have before. It's just kind of grating to listen to. It takes forever to really get going, and that's kind of what drone is. And I don't do drugs, so I don't know how I could sit there and listen to this whole thing and not be at least mildly bored for the majority of the time. I want to like Sun more. I really like that band Ohm. I think Ohm does a lot better than this band does at the drone style. Maybe because Ohm's a little more musical. I don't know. But Sun, Alter. All right, so I got a couple from The Sword, which is a band I'm a big fan of. This is Age of Winter. Apparently, this band is now broken up, which is disappointing. But this song is really this song Celestial Crown is a really great way to open this. Iron Swan, Winter's Wolves is like a classic Sword song. Freya. Really glad I got to see this band live. They opened for Opeth when I saw Opeth in Chicago, and it was a really, really good time. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think they were touring for their acoustic record, but they did not they didn't play any of the acoustic stuff, at least that I know. This is basically the Sword album, Gods of the Earth. Really, really stupid heavy stuff, like how heavy the axe to make the black under the bogues, the Black River, the White Sea, ancient hyperzephyrians, things like that. Just classic stuff. The Frost Giant's Daughter is probably the best track on here, and you know, that's a really, really cool album cover. I think I'm kind of excited that they didn't put the logo on there, though I think it would have looked nice up there, but I kind of like the effect of it. Really good record. Another Sword record. This is Low Country. I think this is the acoustic album. I don't know if I've ever actually listened to this, not gonna lie to you. I got it in a big lot from one of my buddies when he was selling off his CD collection, his metal CD collection, I should say. He still has quite a big CD collection, just not metal. But this is something that I can't speak too much on. But The Sword. Next, a couple other things I got from him. I got two from Windhand. I got Grief's Internal Flower and Coma. First Coma, something like that. So this is something that I don't know if I've ever actually listened to as well. It's another one of those. So I'll show that first so I could get it out of the way. Not the coolest artwork you've ever seen in the world. I don't really get it. I kind of like, I guess it is kind of cool if you look at it for a while, because it's kind of like a pale, grainy, 1800s looking photo of a house. I think this might be an acoustic record as well. I'll have to put this on the player sometime so I could really talk about it. Maybe it'll wind up in an underrated metal records installment at some point if I revisit it and find it impressive. But this is a much better record. This is a really, really droney, stonery doom from Virginia. Really kind of psychedelic, but also stonery at the same time, and really, really trudgingly slow. Female-fronted band. She has a pretty cool and eerie way of singing, but nothing spectacular. They're pretty good at carrying the doom torch, but yeah. Next, two albums I am a huge fan of. This is the band Witchcraft from Sweden. This is like the soundtrack to 8th grade for me. I was all over this band, and this one just in particular is a really raw recording. The opening track is the self-titled, is really, really great. Lady Winter is great. The Snake, Please Don't Forget Me. No Angel or Demon is one of the best songs on here. It's So Easy is great, but my favorite song is between the last two tracks for my favorite song is You Bury Your Head or The Sisters They Were Weak. Really raw, eerie kind of occult rock, kind of psychedelic, stonery doom. Not really psychedelic, I shouldn't say that. Maybe influenced by psych rock, but dude, this is such a great record. If you want some raw, old school sounding stuff that sounds like a live demo recording from like 1972, check out this Witchcraft album. But my favorite one from them is Firewood. This one, top shelf, dude. Absolutely stellar stuff. I love everything about this album. I've heard this thing front to back so many times it's not even funny. This is probably in my most listened to albums of all time camp, and opening up with Clyde of Fire is a great start to the record. And then If Wishes Were Horses, really great. Wooden Cross is a really great one. Queen of Bees is a super heavy one. Merlin's Daughter, great track. Kind of that's maybe a little psyche on this one. This one has quite a bit of psych on it. I See a Man's fine. You Suffer's great. Attention's whatever, but Sorrow Evoker is my favorite Witchcraft song, I think, entirely. That is the first Witchcraft song I ever heard, and it was in a John Dixon skate park which is he skates professionally for Death Wish Skateboards, and he's from my local area. I've met the guy. He's a really cool guy. His dad owns a bait shop, and my dad owned a bait shop, so I kind of like, oh, your son's into skateboarding. My son's a pro skater. Let's get him to come hang out in your guys' parking lot and just roll around on skateboards, farting around, doing flat ground tricks with each other. And that was pretty sick. My 14-year-old self, 13-year-old self was absolutely over the moon about it. And, you know, getting into skateboarding got me into metal because of this doomy and stoner stuff was like a big part of it. And I heard that song for the first time and I was just floored, dude. That like changed it all. That, and I heard, you know, Electric Funeral by Sabbath and D. Ostrander part, and I'm nerding about skateboarding. Let me shut up real quick. Anyway, this is Worm Ouroboros. This is something my wife got me, and I haven't listened to it since she got it for me. But I remember liking it quite a bit. It's a really post-rocky doom.
You haven't listened to it yet?
I have. I haven't since I got it. I have enough to keep me busy for a while. I just haven't spent a lot of time with it, but it is kind of post-rocky doom, kind of like somewhere between Soul Shafir and a doom band, which is really, really interesting, really cool, and obviously I liked it enough to keep it. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because I really don't remember enough about it to say too much. Now here's another one that she got me as well. This is Embrace of the Narrow House by the Wounded Kings. This is an English stonery doom band, more of a doom band, kind of more of your Electric Wizard vein, a little less sludgy than those kind of bands, I would say. These guys ride a little bit more hard in the doom and stoner side of things, more of the classic doom with those elements, I should say, similar to like a Reverend Bizarre style. A pretty good record. I need to spend a little bit more time with it, which is kind of something that I have a issue with in this section, other than the bands and the albums that I'm like diehard about, like the Witchcraft album, that Sleep album, the Graveyard Records. And this is the last one for today. This is Yob with The Unreal Never Lived. This is a band I've never been huge on, but I really like when they do acoustic stuff. I like the vocals because the vocalist has a really cool kind of Geddy Lee vocal. His singing voice sounds like Geddy Lee. He kind of looked like Geddy Lee before he grew that huge beard. And it's just a really impressive, well put together progressive sludge record, but not like Mastodon where it gets kind of prog rock. This is like mixing the prog and the heady kind of esoteric soundscape into sludge metal. It's a good record with one of the worst album covers I've ever seen in my life. That is horrendous and does not fit the music whatsoever. But nonetheless, Yob is cool as far as I'm concerned. So that's it for this one. Once we're done with here, we're gonna get into my like power speed metal section, and it's gonna be a good time. I probably will get 3 installments out of that. So I'll catch you all in the next one. Keep it greasy.